Hey guys, my name's Chris Anderson. I want to touch on something that's a little bit upsetting to me as of late. The more and more I read the news, the more times I see, the amount of suicides and self-harm and things that are going on, not just in Australia but all over the world. And I kind of wanted to make this video to discuss that because it's actually kind of upsetting. I'm 27. I grew up in a small town in Tasmania called Burnie, and I was the fat, chubby child. My dad and mum divorced when I was 6, so it was basically me and my mum for a very, very long time. My dad I saw every Sunday, but growing up I wasn't into cars, I wasn't into trucks, I wasn't into the typical boy things. I was really into drama and musical theatre, and The Wizard of Oz was my favourite movie, so that should have set off alarm bells. But growing up was really, really hard. Going through primary school, I was picked on, I was bullied, I was hit a few times. And going into high school, you would think that, I thought that it would get better, kids are nasty and they're cruel, and I thought it would get better, and moving around as much as what we did, it really didn't change. It was the same from one school to another. It was, big ears, fatty, faggot, all of those things that they still played in my head. I moved around a lot, I changed schools. My biggest thing that I remember from primary school was being accustomed in one of the guys' bathrooms there, and I was beaten and I was punched and I was pushed, and the teachers did nothing. They really didn't do anything. And then I was walking home from school that day, and the guy that had beat me up happened to follow me and chase me down the street, and it wasn't pretty. My cousin decided to step in and hit him, which, I don't condone violence at all, but he was protecting me. Moving into high school, things didn't get much better for me. I was teased, I was still the fat kid, I was still the faggot, I was gaybo, I got my head constantly hit into lockers, I was pushed, I was shoved, and I felt really, really alone in that time of my life, and I didn't have anybody else to really chat to about it or talk to about it. And the only time that I really contemplated the thought of being gay would be at home, when I was by myself in my room at night time and it was dark, and it was just one of those things that I didn't want to be gay. I didn't want this life for myself. I didn't want to disappoint my family, and I didn't want any of this. I wanted to be accepted, I wanted to fit in, I wanted to be liked by everybody, I guess. And I would spend majority of my high school days at night time crying because I didn't want to disappoint my family, and I thought that they would never accept me. I didn't want to upset my friends or my family, because my friends and family stuck up for me a lot and would stand up to those people and tell them that I wasn't gay and they needed to shut their mouth. And I remember it all just got a little bit too much for me in year 11, and that was the time that I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I cut myself. I did it for about 6 months, and it's not the proudest thing that I'm happy about, but it's rough, and I completely understand why people out there feel the way that they do in regards to this kind of thing. And kids are cruel. People they're cruel. They don't understand that words actually hurt the people that they're talking about, and it stays with you, and it will continue to stay with me for a very, very long time. But what I want to tell everybody out there that's watching is that it gets better. I know that it doesn't feel like it will, but it does. You get older, you start to fall into yourself, you really start to come into who you are as a person, and the people that don't like you think, I don't care. Coming out to my parents and my mum and my dad were really, really hard. I'm to get away from the way that I felt about myself, I moved to America, and I've spoken about this in my other videos, and I thought it was a great thing and go me, but I ran away because I couldn't deal with being called a faggot. I couldn't deal with being called gay. You know, I was in a downward spiral for those couple of years. You know, I couldn't find a place or a niche that I fitted in, and I thought, okay, fine, time to go. So I packed up my bags and I left. And as much as I loved America, for me, in the back of my head, every time I talk about it now, I know that it's because I ran away, because I didn't want to deal with it. And I came back and I finally found my little niche. I was very comfortable with being gay. I was extremely happy, and then coming back here, it kind of brought up all of those feelings again, and it was hard. I called my mum and I had to have this conversation with her over the phone, and it was the scariest thing I'd ever done before. But to my surprise, she was actually okay with it. I sent my dad and stepmom an email, and they were okay with it, and that surprised me because the things that I was so concerned about in the back of my head, they kind of didn't come to anything. I finally felt accepted. I get so concerned when I read and watch these things on the internet about kids killing themselves and cutting themselves, because it does get better. Those people that bully you in high school, they've peaked. They're not going to go any further in their life than what they're doing to you right now. I wish that somebody had have said this to me, even though I probably wouldn't have listened. I wish that somebody had have taken my hand and said, Chris, it will get better. Everything will be fine. You will grow up, you will be comfortable with who you are, and you'll find people that love you for who you are. Growing up in a small town, I didn't have that. I didn't know any other gay people, and I found it really, really hard to be me. Not being you is really, really difficult. People can sit there and they can say that you should always be yourself and blah, 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 but you need to feel happy within yourself before you can really let the world see who you are. There's just so much that goes on inside my head, and I'm finally in a place where I'm 27 years old. I have an amazing job. I have an amazing set of friends. I have my own apartment, and I don't have that fear anymore of people not liking me. All I can say is it really does get better. Don't cut yourself. It's really upsetting to hear the amount of people. I've got 16-year-old sisters, and the amount of things that they've told me about people that, you know, they've cut themselves or things like that. It's really disturbing, because kids don't know the things that you say to people in high school, that stays with them for the rest of their life. The word faggot, to me, is the most disgusting word in the world. You continue to be you because you're all beautiful and wonderful people. Don't let them win, because if you cut yourself, if you sit at home and you cry, you're letting them win, and I know that you're all stronger than that. And I know that it may feel really hard for you guys to understand at the moment, but it got better for me, as it's gotten better for a lot of my friends. I know that it'll get better for you. Be happy and continue to be you, because there's nothing wrong with being gay. There's nothing wrong with being a lesbian. There's nothing wrong with your background, where you were born. Everybody is different, because if the world consisted of people that were the same, it would be incredibly boring. So if you take nothing from this video, apart from knowing that it does get better, then I'm happy. And I'm always here for anybody that needs to talk or chat or anything like that. My social media links are below. Message me. I don't want this to continue. I don't want more people to lose their lives because of shit that other people have said. You're all amazing. I love you all. I understand. And it's different when people sit there and your family members can sit there and go, oh, no, I understand. No, they don't understand, and I know that you know they don't understand, but just know that I do. Don't let the bullies win. moving forward, we've come such a long way in where we were 20 years ago. It's an exciting time to know how far that we've come. I love you all, guys, and remember that it really does get better.